Alright, good afternoon everyone. We're going to be doing a reaction video courtesy of Game Shack. We are going to be taking a look at 2D modern games. 2D games for modern systems. Excuse me.
We start out with Blazing Chrome from Joy Masher, which is available for the PC, PlayStation 4, Switch, and Xbox One. I'm playing the PS4 version. This is a side-scrolling run-and-gun, which of course gets a lot of inspiration from Contra. When you first start out, you have two different characters, but you can unlock more. In this game, it's one hit and you're dead.
Loving the pixel art right off the bat. Heavily inspired by Contra. Very good thing.
The controls are pretty basic. You can shoot, jump, lock your movement with R1 while you aim, and roll. You can collect a few different weapons as well as other types of power-ups. For example, you may get a shield which will let you take a few extra hits. Or this one, which will make you faster and also let you double jump, which is really fun to do.
It's looking like a revamped version of Contra. I'm loving it. Actually, it's kind of reminding me of the Contra for the Sega Genesis, to be honest.
Losing this power-up because it's just so fun when you have it. Unfortunately, the weapons themselves aren't all that great. There are 4 of them, and honestly, I like the basic default one the best. Like most run-and-gun games, you feel like you just want to hold down the button to rapid fire, but this game doesn't really want you to do that, at least with 2 of the weapons. One of them is so slow that I'll avoid picking it up if I can.
I don't understand. There are why they're making some of these shooters like these weapons that are just slow and they're kind of useless. It's kind of like it's like a trap. You're better off with your regular weapon. You get these weapons that they're just slow and they just slow down the rate to hit the enemies.
Fortunately, you can always switch back to the default weapon with the tap of a button.
That's good.
Other than that, the controls are good and it's rather fun. Especially the boss fights, as they're all multi-jointed and super cool. As you can see, this game goes for the retro pixel look.
Once again, retro pixel look. Love it. It looks very fast-paced, action-packed. I'm loving it so far.
Colors are heavily inspired by Contra Hardcore on the Genesis.
There you go.
There's plenty of scaling and rotating segments all over the place that could only be done with the 32-bit hardware to add a little pizzazz. Speaking of pizzazz, this Space Harrier style segment in Mission 4 is pretty cool looking. The music is mostly good.
That's pretty cool.
The arrangement goes. Unfortunately, it's completely in mono and very limited in its dynamics, so it doesn't really do much to get me pumped as I'm playing. Plenty of Genesis games have a better dynamic range than this, and of course those games are in stereo as well. Not sure what happened here. Still, this is a fun one that offers quite a bit of challenge and it's worth trying out.
Game looks amazing. Definitely something I'd be willing to stream. Definitely. Has anyone played this game? Write a comment below. Tell me what you think of the game. It looks good so far. If you've played it, let me know what's your opinion on it.
This is Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
This game looks familiar. For some reason, I'm going to say it was a PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 game. I believe it just looks really familiar to me. The name sounds familiar.
It's available for the Xbox family of consoles, the Switch, and PC. Sorry, PlayStation fans, but you can go straight to hell. I'm playing it on the Xbox Series X here. This is the sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest.
There you go.
Itself was an excellent game.
It looked familiar.
This is a Metroidvania. If you like Simon Belmont and or Samus Aran, this is the game for you.
Sounds like a game I have to get. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Neither of them are in here, but whatever. I love the interactive storytelling that's at the beginning of the Ori games. You play through a small series of events to set things up before you never
looks beautiful,
like the fool.
To be honest.
As you wander around, you'll gain ability.
The graphics are amazing.
Double jumping, both of which show up fairly soon in the game. There are many other special abilities like sticking to the wall, but sadly you can only equip 3 of these special abilities at once. There's no leveling up, but
it looks very fluid
and whatnot throughout your adventure. You'll also unlock new areas, and figuring out how to get to these new areas is half the fun.
The animation in the game itself looks extremely fluid.
Well, maybe a quarter of the fun, because it can be a bit more confusing than most Metroidvanias. The map doesn't make it very clear where you can go, or where you have or have not been, especially if you purchase a map from someone. Still, you have incredible control over Ori as you go back and forth a dozen times before you figure things out. The graphics here are phenomenal, with many layers of detail everywhere.
It is.
I think there could be a lot more variety, however, as no area seems to have its own signature look like other Metroidvanias. At least as far as I've played, I can't figure out where I need to go next. Still, the level of detail and color is outstanding.
Yeah, the detail looks amazing. Like I said, the animation's fluid, the graphics very vibrant. It looks amazing.
And sound are both great as well and really complement the game. I prefer playing it on the Xbox Series X. Here, you not only get HDR colors which really pop and 4K resolution, but 120 frames per second as well. I'll be honest, the 120 frames per second doesn't make a huge difference, but it's there. The Xbox version also features Dolby Atmos sound. You wouldn't think that a 2D game like this would make use of surround sound, much less height speakers, but it's actually quite effective. It's probably one of the better examples of Dolby Atmos in video games so far. Unfortunately, the sound will be slightly out of sync if you enable Dolby Atmos on your Xbox. This is something that Microsoft either can't fix or won't fix with their silly little console. Note that I'm not playing in Dolby Atmos as I capture this video, as no capture card can deal with that, at least that I know of. Overall, Ori and the Will of the Wisps is mostly a great time and a testament of what can be done with modern 2D games.
Looks amazing.
There were more variety in the visuals, as well as better and more comprehensive map design.
No, it's not.
This is Wonder Boy Returns from CFK for the PlayStation 4, PC, and Switch. It's also available as Wonder Boy Returns Remix, which adds a few minor things. At first, this appears to be a remake of Wonder Boy game many of you might recognize as Adventure Island.
Yes, I knew it. Adventure Island.
Anyway, and then it mixes things up a bit. You run, jump, hold the square button to run faster, and jump higher. You break eggs for weapons. You have a timer that's always decreasing, and you need to grab
It looks alright.
replenish it. Fortunately, the food is all over the place. I've seen some people insist that this is a life bar. This is not a life bar in any sense, as it
Looks like a life bar.
one hit and you die, no matter how full the bar is.
What's the point of the bar?
Fourth level in each stage is a boss. The bosses have a life bar, which is nice, and these bosses are completely different from the original game. The skateboard item is here, but you rarely see it, though it is fun while it lasts. The graphics go for that flash game look, or maybe a mobile game. I mean, is there really a difference? The music is a mixed bag, with most of the tunes being okay, but a couple of them being pretty good.
I mean, it looks like a mobile game. What is that bar for? I don't get it.
Well, the game plays alright, and it's a decently good time. The remix version of the game has slightly tweaked controls and an additional area.
I mean, it's something I would like to check out at least. Just to, bring me back. Ooh.
Here's R-Type Dimensions EX from IREM, and it's available for the PlayStation 4, Nintendo.
I like R-Type. I was a huge fan of the SNES version. Challenging game. Good 2D shooter.
The Switch, iOS, and PC. It's also available for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, where it's just known as R-Type Dimensions, no EX. Screw those platforms anyway, they're not worthy of those letters. This one contains arcade versions of R-Type 1 and 2. However, here you can play them in widescreen for the first time, so that's cool. You can
Good music in this game.
3D polygon graphics with the tap of the triangle button. This not only changes the graphics, but the music as well.
It's a nice feature to have. I like the option. It looks good. I have a thing for pixel art, so I would go for the pixel art. But just like replaying it, I would like to see I would like to experience the 3D version as well.
You can do this at any time, as the new stuff directly overlays the original 2D art.
That's pretty cool.
3D mode to play exactly like the original game, which
That's
is a
pretty
good
cool.
thing. R-Type has always been great, with absolutely fantastic weapons, each with their own advantages, and all of them are super fun to use. No bad or boring weapons here.
Yeah.
Stage design is also second to none, especially in the first game. You'll die a lot, but you always want to try again, even though you get set back because you keep learning the stage. This is one of those tough games that never really pisses me off.
That's a very hard thing to do, and I always say when you're playing a hard game, it's so frustrating, but you want to get better to beat it. That's a good sign of game design, because sometimes people make the game too hard. It just becomes frustrating, and it's like not fair. So that's a good sign of game design.
Somehow, the game design is just that good, and that's
There you go.
a very rare thing indeed.
There you go.
R-Type 2, which saw some of its stages used in Super R-Type on the Super Nintendo, isn't as good, but it's still fun, and I'm glad it's here. Both games offer an infinite mode where you have unlimited lives and respawn right where you die.
I might pick this up.
Anywhere near as fun, but it helps me get more footage from the game faster to show you.
I definitely want to pick this up. I didn't even know this game existed. I gotta pick this up.
And as an editor, I like having a variety of footage, so, gotta do what you gotta do. The new 3D graphics are pretty basic with a very low polygon count. I guarantee that most of you will think these are ugly, and, well, I certainly can't say you're wrong.
Yeah.
I still like switching to them, though, just to see how they reimagined any given scene. You can also enable the crazy 3D mode where it turns at an angle when you engage the polygon mode. I'm not sure what use this is, but here you go.
Just gives a different angle, different perspective in the game. I think it's a cool option. Like, I would do that if I beat the game in 2 different varieties. I would just use that as another, I don't know, kind of make the game feel fresh and new.
The music also gets rearranged, and for the most part, it sounds pretty good.
Not bad.
Comparatively, the original arcade music is very shrill, and it has extremely low sound quality. This game isn't for everyone, but I certainly recommend it if you like R-Type.
I've seen people stream this game. It looks extremely hard. I'm not a fan of the way it looks. I would have liked if they kept it pixel style, but
This is Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection from Capcom for the Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. I'm playing on the Switch here. I've been hesitant to review this one for a while because I was afraid that I'd absolutely eviscerate it. Some of you can't stand it when my opinions differ from your own because you respond very insultingly. They're just video games, people. I'm not talking about your mom. Oh well, the cool viewers want to know my take, so this review is for them. The first thing I want to put out there is that a lot of people think that I'm a big fan of this franchise. Well, I really do like the games that are called Ghouls and Ghosts. All of the ones that are called Ghosts and Goblins I never really got into.
I never even noticed.
But the ones that are called Ghouls and Ghosts just seem to be designed better. Sadly, only 2 games fall under that banner. This one actually tries to take aspects from both Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts. Right at the start, you can select from 2 different stages. One of them is like a remake of the first stage from Ghosts and Goblins.
I'm trying to, like, I've seen so many people stream it, so it's like I'm not really, like, surprised of what I'm seeing right now. But like I said, it's a very, very challenging game.
The other is like a remake of the first stage from Ghouls and Ghosts. This continues for level 2, with the top stage being more like level 2 from Ghosts and Goblins, and the bottom being like, well, you get the idea.
I remember that.
Stages fall right in the middle, with aspects from both styles represented in a single stage. The stage design has some really good ideas here and there. Like this part when you're trapped in what looks like a giant mouth that's constantly moving in and out and you've got to avoid the spikes as the screen scrolls. Or how about this part where you're riding on the backs of these eels or dragons or whatever the hell they're supposed to be.
I wonder how this game did in sales. Just curious.
My main issue is that these parts can be pretty long and it can become rather tiresome. Seriously, this eel or dragon part feels like it takes forever. I mean, come on, man, I've got stuff to do, I've got a life. Like previous games in the series, the stages are broken up into 2 more or less unique areas each. Sometimes it feels like even more in this game. The boss fights can be enjoyable, but yeah, have fun trying not to get your ass kicked 6 ways from Sunday. Fortunately, you have unlimited lives.
That's good.
Another thing that you should know is that this game was done by the creator of the original Ghosts and Goblins, Tokuro Fujiwara. This game seems almost masturbatory for him as he just took it and went absolutely crazy. This game is balls to the wall difficult, not in a way that makes you want to keep trying for very long.
Yeah.
To compensate for this, you can take quite a bit of damage before you completely lose your armor unless you crank the difficulty up. There are also tons of checkpoints. Supposedly, on the easiest difficulty, you can even respawn right where you died, but I haven't tried that. There's also a skill tree, because of course there is.
I mean, I gotta check this game out, just because I'm a fan of the old series.
The control is good, but it's not fantastic. It feels like there's a tiny bit of lag, and I'm playing with a Switch Pro controller directly wired to the console. There's no double jump here like there was in Super Ghouls and Ghosts, but you can shoot all 4 directions from the start, just like you could in run-of-the-mill Ghouls and Ghosts.
I don't know, man. The double jump is key.
Work, just like the arcade versions. That means if you press a diagonal, you'll come to a dead stop. I do wish there was a diagonals option for this, just like the Genesis version, as that might make the control feel a hair smoother. The game itself can feel a tad slow. Arthur's running animation makes it look as if he should be moving much faster than he actually is. I don't understand this. In Ghouls and Ghosts, he moves around pretty quick. I have mixed feelings about the graphics.
Yeah.
On one hand, I think they look absolutely incredible with a cool storybook feel. On the other hand, it feels kind of off for a game in the franchise, but at least it doesn't look too much like a Flash or mobile game, which is hard to do these days. The characters all look a bit silly, but still, overall, I think the graphics are very well done. On the audio side, both the music and the sound are all very good and serve the game quite well.
That's an epic track right there. Sounds good.
Playing this game again today, I like it more than I did in the past. However, I still don't have a strong desire to play it again. I can, however, play the Ghouls and Ghosts games endlessly, and they never get old. Here's
Yeah.
Secret of Mana for the PlayStation 4 from Square Enix. It's also available for the Vita and the PC. I go back and forth pronouncing it as mana or mana, but I usually say mana, and so does the game. This is, of course, a remake of Secret of Mana on the Super NES, which
I never really got into the SNES version. Never really got far in it. I know it's a very popular game. I didn't get far in it. I do know I've seen newer versions, and I don't like the artwork in it. Like I said, I have a thing for pixel art.
which was the second game in the Seiken Densetsu series. I got it as a Christmas gift one year, but for whatever reason, I never got much into it.
Yeah, me too.
Explain why. Anyway, you play as this
See-
dude. He pulls a sword which makes monsters attack, and that gets you banned from your village. I mean, come on, can you even call these things monsters? They're so cute. That village must be full of a bunch of pussies.
I really have a thing about these graphics. I think they look better at pixel art.
Your attack works similar to the legendary axe on the TurboGrafx 16 or Valis 3 on the same platform. After you attack, a percentage starts counting up from 0 to 100, with 100% resulting in your strongest attack. The percentage meter lies though, as if it's at 50%, your attack seems a lot weaker than 50% of its maximum power. Also, and this is just me by the way, but I prefer a moving bar like in the legendary axe in Valis 3 rather than a counting number. Either way, or even either way, this makes the action pretty slow as you have to wait for it to be effective. Somehow much slower than legendary axe or Valis 3.
Once again, I wasn't into the original one. Never got really far. And this one, I don't know. This one doesn't look better to me, to be honest.
Even with that though, it's still a very good game. The graphics use polygons for their visuals with mixed results. They try to keep the anime flavor with the 3D models, and it mostly works. The cutscenes now go down to ground level with the camera moving around in 3D space. Sadly, whenever there's spoken dialogue, the character mouths don't move at all and it looks very bad.
But I did hear Grandma say she saw something shiny by the falls when she was little.
That's lazy.
I just turned the voices all the way down, which is all you can really do, but the cutscenes still take the same amount of time as if the voices were playing, which technically they still are. The music is also rearranged. The original game had a few fantastic standout tunes, with the rest being not bad. The arrangement here is mostly okay, but some of those great tunes sound less good here. You can switch to the Super Nintendo version of the soundtrack at almost any time if you prefer. This remake got kind of a bad rap when it was initially released back in 2018. Honestly, I don't think it's as bad as people were making it out to be, but then again, Secret of Mana isn't a game that's tremendously important to me, so take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I think it really affected the people that are really into the series. Once again, I wasn't really into the original one for the SNES. Couldn't get into it for some weird reason.
Next up is Assault Suit Lanos on the PlayStation 4. It's also on PC. This side-scrolling mech game is awesome. It may look like a futuristic run-and-gun at first glance, but it's definitely not that. In fact, some of you might recognize this game as Target Earth on a Genesis. This is a remake of that game.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So it's a remake of a Genesis game. Interesting.
Those of you who were too good to play the Genesis may recognize the style of this one as...
I was going to say that's what that game reminded me of. This was what, Mechatech? I don't remember. It was for the SNES.
Cybernator on the
Cybernator.
which is another amazing game in that
Cybernator.
series. I bought Target Earth when it came out, and of course it absolutely wrecked me when I first played it. But as I learned how the game worked, I started to love it. That learning process took weeks though, and I haven't played it for quite some time, and that's why I'm sucking here. This version is the same way, though it's much easier than the Genesis or Mega Drive version. You start each mission by selecting the weapons and the equipment that you'd like to bring with you, but you
It looks good. I'm liking the look, I'm liking the feel of it.
only have so many slots. Different weapons are good in different situations, and you can even stack your armor for better defense at the cost of some slots. You earn more gear by completing each mission. The only weapon with unlimited ammo is your basic weapon, and fortunately it's effective.
Good.
I like how each mission has a different objective, and you're often doing vastly different things, which was fairly uncommon back in 1990. The visuals here look pretty decent, if a little pixely if you look close. There's a lot more zooming around of the camera all over the place compared to the Genesis game, obviously. Oddly, the font looks kind of weird, and it's somewhat difficult to read, even if you're playing the game in 4K resolution. Not that this is a native 4K game, mind you. The music consists of the same melodies, only rearranged and nearly CD quality, which, if the legends are true, the PlayStation 4 is actually capable of. That's right, technology has come a long way in 30 years.
Looks good. Looks good. Definitely reminds me of Cybernator.
The voices are in Japanese, even on the North American release. There's also a classic mode which features the Genesis gameplay and difficulty. It also plays the Genesis music during this mode. There's also no fancy zooming all over the place, just you getting your ass kicked. This is a really good game, but expect to put in some time to learn it to get anywhere.
That looks good.
Looks hard. This one's called Clockwork Aquario, and this is the PlayStation 4 version. It's also on the Switch, Xbox One, and PC. This was being developed as an arcade game back in 1992 by Westone or Westone or West One or however you say it. This is the same developer of the original Wonder Boy games. It was cancelled because by 1992, fighting games and the like were way too popular, and also this got some negative feedback from playtesters who had a chance to sample it. Not too long ago, Strictly Limited Games bought up the rights. NN and a few staff from Westone worked together to finish this up and release it. I somehow ended up with 3 copies of this game.
Wow.
The first one and the 2 others were sent to me by outfits who probably wanted me to cover it.
It doesn't...
Anyway, you choose one of 3 characters.
Not hitting me right now.
Or bounce on an enemy to stun them. From there, you can hit or bounce on them again to snuff out their life completely.
It's very colorful. I do like the colors in the game.
Or pick them up and toss them to end the existence of other enemies as well. You pick up the stunned enemies automatically, which is clunky to say the least. If there's a stunned enemy and a live one in the same part of the screen, you're going to take a hit because you touched the live enemy. This can make fighting the bosses extremely annoying, as you need to pick up the enemies to toss at the boss, but it's hard to stun the enemies without killing them all in the process. I think it might work better if they sent out fewer enemies. You can take one hit, and if you take another without first drinking a red potion, you'll die. You collect gems and it fills a 1-up meter by your character's HUD on the screen. Fill it up completely and yeah, that's right, you guessed it, you get an extra life. See, I knew you were smart. You can also get a temporary power-up that'll allow you to shoot some stars. The graphics are very colorful with some nice scrolling, but it can be really tough to tell what's happening in all of the chaos sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's in single-player mode. I'd bet it'd be much more confusing with multiple players. There are a few adjustments that you can make to the screen, but not many.
I'm not really feeling that game. Something I wouldn't pick up to play. It just doesn't look fun, to be honest.
The music isn't bad, but it's not something that'll likely get in your head either. Curiously, they did add an arranged version of the soundtrack, but there's no way to play it during the game. Maybe it has to be unlocked? The problem is that this game is so clunky and chaotic that I don't feel like playing it enough to find out.
Yeah.
And that's what it all boils down to.
Just doesn't look good.
I would have put a few quarters into in an arcade, but then walked away never to play it again. This one, Rocky reshrined on the PlayStation by Natsume.
I played this for the SNES with my son. We streamed it actually. It was hard, but I loved the graphics in that game, and I enjoyed it. It reminded me of the Mystical Ninja. I wonder if that has anything to do with the Mystical Ninja. Legend of the Mystical Ninja, I think it was called.
It's also available on the Nintendo Switch at the expense of some dropped frames here and there. Do you remember Pocky and Rocky on the
There we
Super
go.
NES? It's a run and gun game with some cool artwork,
It's a good game.
music, and fun gameplay. It also offered up some pretty hefty challenge. Well, this game is basically a complete remake of that one, and boy oh boy is it awesome. This is in the same family of Natsume remakes along with Wild Guns Reloaded and the Ninja Saviors The Return of the
Nice.
Warriors, or whatever it's called wherever you live. They couldn't seem to decide on a single name for that one. Like those two, this remake is done with excellent pixel art, a wider screen, and great music. It plays pretty much just like the original. You have a rapid fire shot button which fires whatever weapon you currently have. You can collect a few different weapons and power them up a bit as well. If you get hit, you not only lose a little bit of life, but your weapon powers down too, because F you. You also have a deflect button.
Excuse me.
Using this can stop enemy projectiles and sometimes even bounce them right back at them. This is your main defense, and you should get used to using this, though sometimes the screen can be chaotic and confusing, so you're going to get hit period, unless you spend unhealthy amounts of time practicing this game. You also have a special attack of which you have a limited number. Lastly, you have a slide function. I wish this worked like in Alien Soldier in that you'd be invincible while doing it, but no. Sometimes you'll encounter a being who will give you a special feature if you have enough money, and what you get is random. The biggest flaw with this game is that there's no option to strafe, and man do I ever want to strafe. There is a power-up move that Rocky can use that allows it, but only for a limited time of course. Also, the boss fights are a little too long for my taste, but that's just me. As always,
That looks much
a boss
better.
life bar would be greatly appreciated.
That
In
looks
the single-player game, you'll go
that looks much better than the SNES version.
back and forth playing as Pocky or Rocky in various forms. I like how that changes things up and adds a bit of variety in single-player mode. The cutscenes before each stage set things up, and they're less slow and boring than they were in the original game. There are unlimited continues, and if you make it far enough, you don't have to start back at the very beginning of a stage.
I might have to pick this game up.
Progress just like you'd expect from any modern game. Weirdly, you have to unlock the easy mode. As I said before, the pixel art here is excellent. There's a lot of detail and animation everywhere, and the artwork and color are all outstanding. The game defaults to being a bit stretched, and you can fix that in the options if you must, but I think it looks fine in full screen. You can also engage scan lines if you want. The music has been arranged from the Super Nintendo version, and it too is fantastic.
I think this looks amazing, to be honest. And like I said, the Super Nintendo version was really good, very challenging.
It's very Japanese flavored, and it fits the game like a glove with excellent sound quality. I really do recommend this game as it's fun, the
Yeah.
characters and enemies are interesting, and, well, it's just worth it, man.
Well, I'm going to end the video here. If you want to see the full video from Game Shack, I will leave it a link in the description for you can check out the whole video. But yes, tell me what you guys think. There's a couple games there. The art type really looks good, and this looks really good. It's funny, it's like games I played in the past. But I will be picking those up. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. If there's any games there that you think you would like me to stream, put it in there. And once again, if you want to see the full video from Game Shack, I will leave the... I said Game Shack. Jesus Christ. Game Sack. Damn, it's terrible. Yeah, so I'll leave the description below. Anyhow, have a good one. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell. Take care.